But there's other ways to find better cash buyers. But let's just look at how we can use the cash buyers list as it stands now. So I filter by the whole, Fort Walton Beach, right? That's 25,000 properties. If I narrow it down by just cash buyers, you're like, well, everyone has 100% equity. Well, no shit. They bought the property for cash, man. Of course they have 100% equity. And you're saying like, oh, well, everything that has 100% equity is being considered a cash sale. Well, there's no mortgage history like on pretty much any of these. If you look at any of these properties, for the most part, there's a lot of properties that have had cash transactions, in their history. 2019, this is a deed transfer cash sale. If the information isn't there otherwise to say that it's not a cash sale, then it has to be. For the most part, this is a conventional loan right here in 2006 for 320,000, right? This is a good example of one that might not be, accurate, but all of them are gonna, have this problem, right? Where sometimes it's not accurate. But in 2011, 189,000, but then in 2006, there's a $320,000 loan. Well, the transaction history doesn't know otherwise, right? This loan is here, but this is probably because it's a conventional loan that they took out on themselves, right? Because it's James and the seller was James. So most likely James had taken out some sort of loan at some point. Who knows? Maybe James is also here. I have it blurred out right now. But these are all considered cash sales at the time that they happened because there was no mortgage associated potentially with it. And this is a line of credit. A line of credit is cash, right? It's not considered a loan. You pull out a line of credit and you pay with credit on cash, right? It's different. So in not every case is it going to be 100% because you're kind of quantifying to say, hey, is it cash or not cash? But in most cases, it's going to be relatively accurate to say, hey, that was a cash transaction. But there's a lot of things that mean cash transactions besides, investor paying cash, right? And so we want to narrow it down to something more recent. So, stuff that's happened more recently because you're trying to regardless, right? So I just do age of ownership maximum 1. So max of 1 year, click apply, and now we're going to narrow it down by, a lot. And it's 917, properties. And now you're wondering like, okay, well, we look at this vacant land. Obviously, land was purchased cash. You have, other properties that are probably investment properties that may be 162,000 cash sale. 04, there wasn't any loan, and so that's probably a cash sale, and most likely it is. So how do I narrow this down to like just investors? Well, I can switch it to be absentee owner. Yes, that would be one way to potentially be cash sales. Now we get down to 483 properties. Now we can start seeing these like, okay, that's probably a cash sale just because of the fact that it's, jacked up. These townhouses, a lot of these are going to be cash sales. Just because it's investor. You want to narrow it down even more now to potentially flippers. We can go like it's a, under a business, and now we got 101, and we can open up some of these and we can see, okay, it's an absentee owner, and this is a flipper. We got to open up another one, and now this is also a flipper, where the seller was salty, so the cash sale happened here, and then it transferred over. And so it was looking for cash sales that happened in that time frame, whether it was the most recent sale or not. It's looking for cash sales. Okay. So all right. And so yeah, so that's just an example. But how can we do it even better? So I wonder if we add cash buyer. Yes, if that changes anything here. No, it shouldn't because it's a filter here. So you don't even really need to use that one. I just use these ones most of the time. These are presets. They're just pre-built ones that you can use, but for the most part, most of those options are also available here. So that's typically what I'm using. So how would I narrow this down even more? Well, I like doing like the quick sale one. This is looking for stuff that has been owned for 1 to 18 months and was already sold in any time frame, right? But we want that last sale date to be within a certain period of time. So we do that last sale date was since January. Okay, and then click apply. And so this is going to narrow down to be properties that were bought and sold within basically an 18-month period, but they had to have owned the property for at least a month. So we got rid of essentially like a lot of deed transfers here. And then we can change our last sales price to be more than like a certain amount if we really wanted to as well. But you notice like a lot of these are in my account here. So if I open these up, a lot of these are going to end up being like flips for the most part. A lot of these are going to be cash sales, flips. Some of them are just going to be, transferring from one person to another, like someone who didn't have like didn't do like a very good deal. Um, but a lot of these will end up being flips. And so that's another way to find good cash buyers. We can also switch this to absentee yes. But since the property already sold and the owner's been updated, it's not really the best solution there. But we can, dig through those, basically kind of find some other cash buyers. And that's what I would ideally do. The next thing that I really like to do, that I prefer, and this is my favorite, is take this list, clear that out, and then do years of ownership only one, and then MLS status listed. Whether it's listed currently or already sold or whatever, doesn't really matter. It still gets what we want. And so that by having age of ownership 1 year, that means it had to have sold within the last year. And listed means that it's already up on the market, which means it was turn and burned. And then I can also add a sales price here to make this even better. So last sales price was more than say like $1,000. Okay, and click apply, and that gives me 36. And so I can kind of click on these, and I can find this was a buyer, a flipper, and so on, right? I can just basically start finding flippers that way, and clicking on some of these properties and finding some flippers. So this is how I ideally like to do it as well. That's another flipper. Let's see. That one doesn't look like a flipper. Possibly it looks more like a homeowner, but that's a flipper. This one's already being rented, so this one's probably yeah. This was a I'm not filtering by single family residence here, but that was a flipper. But it's commercial. Um, they could be flippers, but they don't look like it. 425. I already looked at that one. So yeah, just look at these different properties that meet this criteria, and it kind of gives you, shows you some deals. That was or not. It's hard when it's blurred for me to really know for certain that was a flipper. That one's a flipper. I think this is just a deed transfer. Possibly that's a Stacy, so that's a deed transfer. It just so happened to be the deed did transfer for over 4,000. That one's hard to say. Yeah, they're not perfect. None of this data is, no matter what you do, and none of it's perfect. But it's about getting you to the best solution and being able to understand what's going on, right? That's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to be, educated. You're trying to find, deals and kind of stuff that, yeah, that's obviously that's Tracy Akers. It's a builder. You're trying to get, yourself in the best position to win. Oakland. That's yeah, that's a flipper. The reason why I like these ones, that's also a flipper. I like these ones because it allows us to find the agent, right? This agent that we can call, like, and get in contact with people as well. That's also a flipper. So anyway, those are different ways to find buyers. But if you're gonna do this, cash buyers list, then you're just gonna do, cash buyer. You can choose that option there, or you can literally just do it right here. Cash buyer, yes. Owned by a business, absentee, yes. Age of ownership, only 1 year. And that's a good cash buyer. That's a better cash buyers. Let's click apply. And we're going to get people who are much closer to being, actual cash buyers. Okay. Property type, single family residence. And really that's your best cash buyers list right there that you're going to have. If we were to narrow it down, 279, open that one up. That's a flipper. This is a flipper, clearly. That's a land flipper. Um, That's a flipper, right? That's really the list that you're building. Okay. Now, can I make this filter equal that? Yes, I can. And we will. But initially, it's about kind of releasing stuff and seeing what people are trying to do, right? Instead of giving boundaries. But we can definitely release something where it's like, we say, hey, this cash buyer is, but really that's a flippers list. What I just did is really a flippers list, not a cash buyers list, right? It's different because what you're really looking for is I need someone to either get money from or I need somebody to buy my deals. Um, People use cash buyers in two different ways. They're looking for lenders because if I like open this one up and I look at that, like I can see that in '05 it was lended because you can potentially find, hard money lenders or private money lenders depending on how the look at that one. Which one was that? I don't know which one it was. There we go. That's one hell of a property right there. Also, what else is going to pop up in these things is banks. Every one of these is a cash buyer for the most part, or a flipper, I should say. Gloria. Gloria's a cash buyer. Anyway, there you go. Hopefully that helps out.